What's up, guys? Takes out here with another look at some of the figures around this week. Today we're looking at the GI Joe classified Edwin Lifeline Steen action figure. Now this guy is one of the ones I've been wanting in the line. I don't know what it is. I think it's the reds and the whites. I distinctively remembering this figure back in the day. I never got him as a kid. Like I said, back then when I got GI Joes, I didn't grab every single figure. I just grabbed a few. And I did remember wanting this one, but I just never got him. So back in the day, he was released in 1986 from Wave 5 when they did the 3.75 figures. He was originally $2.35 compared to $27.99 from the price now. But anyway, so basically Lifeline was a paramedic with the Seattle Fire Department for 5 years before he discovered that EMS, the emergency medical service personnel who were disabled while giving aid off duty were not eligible for pensions. And in the mind, rescue personnel were never off duty. He decided to make his status permanent by enlisting in the Army as a corpsman. Yeah, one thing I do remember from the cartoon, and I remember distinctively he did not use a gun. I think he was against using guns and stuff, which is kind of weird because you're in the Army, you need a gun. And so, that was one thing that stood out from what I remember. But as I'm looking at the original art, I mean, the colors and everything look the same. Like, it's really cool. Like, and that's the thing about it is, like, of course we're never going to get a retro version, right? Or, the retro collection they've done. So why didn't they just release them like that? I don't know. But hopefully we get a Tiger Force version because we need Tiger Force. He wasn't part of the Tiger Force. So hopefully we get one next year or so. I hope they do. I hope they finish the Tiger Force because we still need a few in that line. And of course also the Mad Marauders. So I want them to finish. They finished the Python Patrol. They even added the Bat. So hopefully we get some more of those figures in. Hopefully, we'll see. But anyway, so like I said, you can see the figure in the packaging. It looks really cool. I really like that face sculpt of him. Got all the cool things he has. Yeah, this is going to be one of my favorites of this whole bunch. So on the side, you can see his little portrait. There's a QR code, his attributes. He is 186 in the line. And here is his artwork, which looks pretty cool, really decent. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, let's get this guy out of the package and get a closer look at the GI Joe classified Lifeline figure. All right, here is Lifeline out of the packaging. And I have to say, this one looks really cool. This is giving me definitely vibes of the old figure, which in a sense, that's what we want. We've always wanted in the beginning, guys. I'm serious. I mean, the way classified started in terms of how they were going, they were okay. They based it off a video game. Believe it or not, that's what they based their figures off. They wanted to, release figures from a video game that was not very successful, and they changed gears. And I'm glad they did because now we're getting a lot of cool heavy hitters that we've always wanted. Now, the good thing about Lifeline, he does look like Lifeline. He's all in this red uniform with the whites, the gray boots. I mean, looking really cool. Now, that face sculpt is great. I really, really like his face sculpt. That's really nice. Like, he looks really, he's a good looking guy, and he got the cool black hair. You got the jacket, looks like a jacket, a red. Of course, you got the little signal on Lifeline. Here's his little gun holster. I guess that's part of the patterns of the patches of the jacket. He's got his elbow pads right there, and then going down, you got this belt here. You guys, I guess that's kind of like a heart monitor thing here. He's got his knife sheath here, and some more pouches, and then something else. I guess something goes through that hoop, and then. Okay, and then you got his knee pads, which are basically the same as elbow pads. You got those gray boots. And like I said, that and this is Rescue here. Yeah, I mean, this is a great, great looking figure. I love, this guy is definitely going to stand on show. I love that face sculpt. That's really cool. Like, I think, honestly, I know Crazy Legs is coming out. And I did see someone that had somehow got Crazy Legs early, I guess. And he basically swapped heads. I might get another Lifeline for his head so I can put it on Crazy Legs. Because this is a cool head, like, honestly. I think, you know, Crazy Legs kind of would look like that, right? So, anyway. Let's look at all the accessories. He does come with a lot of stuff. And also, the thing about it, his stuff, there's some small things in here, which I'm just a little nervous of losing. Like his knife. His knife is very small. And it's kind of just, you know, it's not really, I mean, it just looks, I guess it's a dagger, right? So let's put that on him now so I won't lose that. Goes there with the, all right. And then he has 2 types of goggles and clear. So I think the same thing with Hit and Run. They should have done this because they did this before. I think they did it with General Hawk. They had, you know, one, because usually the goggles in the original figure, the goggles were over the helmet, and the same thing with Lifeline, the same thing. But you also have the opportunity to put the goggles over his head. So I think that's one thing that I feel they should have done with, oh, that's really good. They should have done that with Hit and Run, unless I missed something. Let me look. Plastic anymore. Once I lose stuff, I'll, you know, I toss it, you know. But anyway, I'll double check, but I don't think I have, you know, I don't know. Anyway, moving on. So yeah, he has 2 different goggles, and of course, this other set goes over his helmet, his signature helmet, which looks great. I love that red and, you know, the white over that, and he got that little comm link on the side. So, you know, the goggles are supposed to go over like that, and they fit pretty well, which is great. It's not as, you know, I think Hit and Run was a little cumbersome trying to get it on there, but this one is not. Just still gotta pull it down. Well, anyway, so I don't think I'm gonna be able to get the. I don't think I'm able to get this over his head with the goggles on. So I guess you just got 2 different looks. So get this over. Do I need to take off the helmet? I mean, take off the head. Let me see. I think I have to do that. Let's do that. Yeah. Okay, come on. Get in there. There we go. All right. That looks great. And of course, like I said, you have to put these goggles over the head. So, you know, and then, of course they give you opportunities to do different things with the figure. So obviously, like if you wanted to put the goggles over his head, it'd be like that. You know what I mean? But I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to get it in there. I thought it was easier than, just gotta push it down. There we go. So it's there. Actually, no, I think it's above the helmet part. I think like that. Yeah, it's above the helmet part. So I gotta push this down. But anyway. There, yeah, got it. Another thing that he comes with is his glasses. So, you know, they got gold and stuff. So you just basically put them over his head like so. I gotta push it. So doing a head swap for him, you know, and Crazy Legs will be easy because once he has the glasses on, you can't really tell. Yeah, it's kind of hard to get it in there because you got that helmet on. But I'll make it work. And the goggles fell off again. But anyway. Come on. There we go. Yeah, I mean, this looks really cool. He's starting to come out like Lifeline. I'm hoping we get a Tiger Force version. All right, so of course he doesn't use his pistol, but he does come with a pistol. I mean, you're in the Army, you have to have a gun. I mean, you have to, you know. When there's an enemy out there, you're gonna just let him shoot you, you know. So it goes right there, and it fits really cool. I like how, I think in the original it was a white gun, so they put a good black one, so it kind of stands out. Yeah, I gotta fix these glasses. Yeah, I'll do that a little later. I don't wanna spend too much time on that. He comes with a IV in which I guess you attach to the person's arm. I'm trying to see if it, yeah, it doesn't touch to him. So I guess if someone is in rescue, you attach this to them. That's really cool. You know, it's a plastic thing. It's kind of pumped up, you know, actually looks like real fluid in there, which is really neat. And you got the armband, so it goes over someone's armband, you know, if they're sick and stuff. So it's really cool that we have Doc with another character. So that's really neat. That Doc has, you know, his buddy Lifeline. I don't know whether did they get along? I don't even remember. I'm sure they did. GIJOE never fought with each other. All right, so we got his medical backpack. Probably has like a heart monitor and stuff like that. There's nothing to open. I thought maybe something opened or something, but it doesn't. So looks like it does, but it doesn't. Got the little graphics right there, you know, the heart rate monitor and stuff. So you would think that this would have something to connect to something or to check people's hearts and stuff, but I guess not. That's really interesting. And then we have the gas mask, you know, or the, you know, that goes over the mouth. So to get I'm not gas mask, oxygen mask, sorry. And this clear, you know, tube. So kind of hard to see. And then you got this scope, which I need to find where it goes because I do not want to lose. Oh, I think I know where it goes. I think it goes right here. I think that's what goes right there. Let me see if I can. And it does want to go in. There we go. Come on, get in there. Yeah, it goes right there. So, and I think that's what he came with back in the day. So, of course, he has his night scope. And then, last but not least, he has his little, you know, briefcase or his medical case. So, this is supposed to open. Does it open? It should. Yeah, I think it does. There we go. And that's where he'll have all his oxygen tank and all that. And I believe, yeah, that goes there. So, on the depiction of the character, the only thing too is like I was hoping that you can like store this stuff in here, but you can't. So I guess you got to keep it on him. You know, one thing I feel like the lack of, I remember the back in the day when the toys would come out, they would kind of give you places where you put stuff. When GIJOE Classified, you kind of got to guess or look on the, you know, the action shots, because they don't really do their own reviews. But yeah, I mean, there's a hole right there for this, but I can stick that in there like that, right? But I guess I have the, I guess it closes on it, you know? I don't know the way I see. Huh. Let's see if there's something on his body that you can put this on. So, I mean, it's cool that it comes with this stuff, but it just sucks that you can't store it. You know what I mean? Because he's not going to be walking around carrying this the whole time. You know what I'm trying to say? Is there anything on the backpack that shows? I mean, there's a little thing there, but I don't think that's it. There's a little indentation down here, but I don't think that goes in there. Nope. Interesting. Very, very interesting. So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I like the fact that hit and run, you know, you can put all his stuff away. I was hoping that you can actually do the same with this. You know, you probably put the goggles away, but this you're going to have to, I guess, carry with you, which is kind of weird, I guess. You know, I'm trying to find a spot on him where you can put that on there. I guess you gotta carry it with you, I guess. But I'm not gonna do that. I'm probably gonna put these two, all this stuff right here away. Oh no, I gotta put the goggles on top. But these two I'm probably gonna just put away because I really don't need them. But yeah. All right, so let's get my final thoughts on this guy. We'll be right back. All right, here are my final thoughts on the G.I. Joe Classified Lifeline figure. Like I say, this is one of my favorites. I love the colors on him. I love everything about him. I like the fact that they did mainly an original view on him. Of course, there's a little bit of classified elements, just like hit and run, but they did, you know, they did him justice. They did him exactly the way he should look, and I think that's very important because, you know, of course, especially at this line, the way that this far in the game, 7 years later, I'm doubting that we're gonna get a bunch of retro figures. I really feel that should have been the route they did in the first place, but you know, it is what it is. I'm glad that we are getting a lot of these cool figures, and I'm glad that they just did it like this. I've said this before in some of my other reviews of some of the other figures. So this is a really cool, like for example, Doc. I did love Doc, but that was a classified version, and I really wish that we got original Doc. Maybe we will. We'll probably get a version of him in the retro, hopefully. Another thing too is we finally get Lifeline. So does that mean we get the Tiger Force version? There, you know, the Tiger Force version, we needed Lifeline, I think Sky Striker, and there was one more. If I'm not mistaken, there was one more character that they missed. I'm trying to think. I really, and of course there's other versions that came out later, but I think the original, I think it was just Lifeline that we needed. I'm thinking if there's someone else, let me know in the comments because I can't remember. I'm trying to think. No, I think we got all of them except for him. So hopefully we get a Lifeline. You know, I'm not sure, you know, how they do the special versions, but you know, let's get, you know, even if you just sell it on Hasbro Pulse as a Pulse exclusive, that's cool. I'm okay with that. So hopefully we do. But anyway, this guy is super awesome. I love the colors. I love everything about him. I love the feel of him. Everything looks good on him. And I'm definitely going to try to probably get another version to get his head for Crazy Legs, because that head sculpt is great. The one with Crazy Legs, not so great. But anyway, so like I said, what do you guys think? Do you guys have this guy in your collection? Are you still collecting classified? And what do you think about the price increase? Let me know in the comments. And until next time, we will see you later.
Ladies and gentlemen,
make sure you like, share, and subscribe.